So, as I said last time, in my last update video, I'm going to be making more stuff on this channel now about being a developer. And this video is basically about how I got my job as a front-end developer in London in 2019. Now, I also want to preface it with a lot of the information I'm going to give here is London-centric, but I think it also applies to the rest of the world, just general job hunting tips and stuff that you can focus on when you are looking for a job as a developer. So I'm going to basically break this down into 4 sections. I'm going to break this down into the resume, I'm going to break this down into looking at company websites, dealing with recruiters, and finally recruitment platforms. So the first thing you want to do is start thinking. Right, you're now a developer, you might be a front-end developer, a back-end developer, Python developer, React developer, JavaScript developer, it doesn't matter what you are, but if you go to a job aggregator like Indeed, type in your technology and developer, you'll start seeing a load of jobs come up. You don't care what they are, just start going into every single one and see what technologies they're starting to list. Because this is where your CV comes in, so your resume comes in. You want to pad your resume out with as much technology as you know. You want to pad it out with any experience you might have. Now this can be development experience, but it could also be development parallel experience. So if you've worked in a tech company in another capacity, even if you've worked in a help desk, if you have any technical background, that helps. If you've had any management experience, if you've had any extracurricular activities that you've done, that's all really important stuff to get on a CV. But the tech that you know and you can feel confident to talk about, because when you're being interviewed by people, they're going to ask you about the tech. And if you kind of stutter over and don't really know how to describe what you're talking about, they'll see straight through you and you're out. So if you can really confidently, and you know the tech that you're talking about, get that on there on your CV. Why do I say this? Because eventually, once your CV goes through the channels and it gets to somebody who's going to be sitting there looking at it, I'm not saying they don't care, I'm saying it's less important where you went to school, it's less important where you worked 5 years ago. What somebody that's going to be hiring you right now is interested in is, what tech do you know, where was your last job, and what, if any, personal projects or projects outside of employment have you worked on. So that's really number one. I'm going to link down below a link to a sort of like template CV. It's the one I used. I'll take out all my details, but you can sort of take that and use that as a template to build up your own resume. The next thing I did in my hunt was I just made a big Google sheet of all the companies that I could think of that I would like to work for, all the way from kind of stupidly Amazon, Facebook, Google, yeah, all companies that have a presence in London, all the way down to like random little startups you might see an advert on the tube for, or you know, an app that you use in your day-to-day life. Just start making a list of companies that you'd like to work for. Another thing that especially helped me in this search was Google Maps. Now in London, if you go to certain areas where tech is centered, so sort of like the Old Street area, or if you go to the West End, places like that, if you really start focusing down, you can start seeing companies that are just presented to you on Google Maps. So I'd go in, I'd look at that company, I'd see if it was a tech company, a startup, whatever, and I would add that to my Google sheet. I would then go on that Google sheet and I would go to every single company website, and I'd go down to the bottom, to the footer section. You're usually going to find there a careers section. It might be in the About Us. Basically go find the company careers page, and then in there you want to go and look at and see if there's any jobs there that you can do. From what I experienced, most places I was looking at are looking for some form of front-end, back-end, React, mainly React in London, sort of front-end, back-end, web developer, all-aroundy, software engineer. Just go and start looking at the companies that you'd like to work for and see if they're hiring at all. And if they are, grab your CV, fill out the online form, send off your CV, and wait for a phone call. It's pretty much that simple. Wait for a phone call, wait for a reply email from the automated system to say, hey, we've got your CV. You might not hear back, but you know what? You're putting out applications, and in this era, it's a numbers game. It doesn't matter, you know, you can apply to one perfect place, but if you apply to 100, you're going to get a job. The next thing that I also dealt with was recruiters. Now in London, the tech scene is very recruiter heavy. It's very sort of centered around recruitment consultants and recruitment consultancies that work on behalf of companies to bring people in and put people forward. A lot of people don't like working with recruiters. A lot of people think recruiters have a bad name, or they're sort of bad. They're not very good. They sort of ghost you. They leave you. They don't come back to you. It happens. But I personally think that recruiters are an amazing tool when you're looking for a job, because they already have the connections to companies. They have their foot in the door. If you can talk confidently and talk over the phone and present yourself well, and you've got a good CV, at the end of the day, a recruiter is a salesman. If they get you in for an interview, that's a tick. If they get you in for a second interview, that's a tick. If they get you the job, they get a bonus. So it's in their, it's worth their time to put you forward if you're a good candidate. So don't discount recruiters immediately. What I would recommend doing is just Google your city and then high-tech recruitment. Look at the top 5 companies that come up. They might be paid ads, they might just be really good at SEO. Just send off your email or go to LinkedIn and find somebody that works at one of those recruitment companies and reach out on LinkedIn, or just send your CV off to like their catch-all email. And I guarantee you, the next morning you will wake up and somebody will be calling you to talk about your CV and your job hunt. Then finally, you've got the employment platforms. So in the UK, we've got a couple of different sort of high-tech specific job boards. The top one I would say is probably CW Jobs. I'm not going to lie to you, I put my CV out on CW Jobs on a Sunday evening. On Monday morning, my phone did not stop ringing. It didn't stop ringing. It was crazy how many recruiters were calling me. I was overwhelmed. I eventually just had to stop taking calls. I spoke to 3 or 4, and then after that I was just like, you've missed the cut-off, I can't do this anymore. So CW Jobs is a really good resource in the UK. You've then got stuff like AngelList, and you've got Stackoverflow Jobs. For me, at my level, they didn't really seem to help, just because they sort of edge towards a more senior developer role. But they are good resources. On AngelList, I did find quite a lot of companies that weren't necessarily advertising my level on the AngelList site, but if you go to the website, you can find the job role there that you're looking for. So it's a good way to find companies as well. And eventually I was introduced to this platform by a recruiter that reached out to me on LinkedIn called talent.io. That's actually the platform that I eventually got my job through. So I'm going to throw that out there as a good recommendation. You go there and you basically sign up, you fill out a profile, a recruiter from them gives you a call, confirms it's all true, talks to you a little bit, and they don't call recruiters, they call themselves talent advocates. So they basically are there to kind of support you, but in a reactive way. Your profile is then added to sort of a bank of candidates, which then every Monday morning gets sort of released into the wild. Companies then approach you directly, and you have a direct conversation with the hiring manager or whoever it may be at the company that reached out to you. So that's eventually how I did get my job. But I'm going to put that platform forward because it worked for me, so it might work for other people as well. So all the links to all this stuff I'm going to be leaving down in the description below. So that's it. That's really all you need to do. You just got to have a good CV. You got to know what job you want to go for. Start looking on company websites, start speaking to recruiters, start looking at employment platforms, and just get your CV out there. Just get it out there to as many people as possible. Don't be embarrassed. Send out 20. If you don't hear anything back from 20 people, take a step back. Look at your CV. What can I fix? Send out 20 more. And eventually you'll start getting phone calls. Eventually you'll start taking interviews. Eventually you'll start doing coding tests. And eventually you will land a job. So that's my advice of how to get a job in high tech in London. But again, I think this advice can be applied worldwide. It's just all about a numbers game and just not being afraid to put yourself forward and put yourself out there. So thanks a lot for watching this video. Again, all the links and everything I mentioned is in the description down below. If you haven't already done so, please, if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe. So I'll put something up here. And there's probably a video that AI is saying that you're going to enjoy up around here somewhere. And until next time, thanks a lot for watching.